we're out in the dove plot. I went ahead and spread this. This is part of a larger agricultural field that is planted in beans, and I went ahead and I just had them spread this corner with the same fertilizer that I'm applying with my beans, which is 300 pounds of 923-30. So that gives me 27 pounds of nitrogen, about 69 pounds of phosphorus, and about 90 pounds of potassium. 27 pounds of nitrogen is not enough to raise sunflowers. So I have put 10 40-pound bags of 3400 that I got from my local farm store. This field's about a 2-acre dove field. So what we're gonna have is we're gonna have about 200 pounds of 3400 per acre, which that's gonna give us about 68 pounds of nitrogen, plus the 27 pounds that we got earlier. And this was in soybeans last year, so there will be a little bit of residual nitrogen down. That's gonna get us somewhere right around that 100 pound per acre of nitrogen that we need to raise these crops. One thing that I really like to do when I'm spreading this, I don't have a calibrated spreader. Obviously, I just got a 3-point hitch spreader. What I like to do is barely open a chute and spread. I would rather go over this field 3 to 4 or 5 times and get an even distribution rather than open it up halfway and only get 3/4 of the field done because I ran out of fertilizer. So that's just a really good tip that I've always used when I'm spreading anything, is I would rather spread more of it at a lower rate and make sure I get a good even stand across the board. Let's go food plotting. I sprayed this about a month ago to keep this clean. You can see we don't have any weeds or grass out here to speak of. I just hit that with a Roundup and Dual. We got rain coming in tomorrow, so I wanted to try to get these on, get the pre-emerge down before that rain, let that rain go ahead and activate that herbicide. I came out here yesterday and lightly scratched this, and it's dried down quite a bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start disking on it, try to get it in really good shape. We can go ahead and broadcast our sunflowers here in a couple hours. We'll disc them in and then spray our pre-emergent on them, and then hopefully we'll be done, other than trying to protect them from the deer. It doesn't look like we're in a high density deer zone right here. Not a ton of habitat in this corner of the field. There is a tremendous amount of deer in this area. Directly behind you, there's a 30-acre thicket. There's 100-acre woods about 200 to 300 yards that way. So there is a tremendous amount of deer pressure in this area. Right here in our neck of the woods, we are well over 100 deer a square mile. It's gonna be a challenge trying to keep the deer off of these sunflowers. I've got a bunch of scarecrows ready to go to be out here as soon as this stuff starts coming up. We do have a lot of soybeans around, and I'm hopeful that those deer are keying in on those soybeans and maybe not keying in so much on these sunflowers. I know that's wishful thinking. One important note that is not good, both of these farms in front of us here also have a lot of habitat and ag land, and neither one of those are planted yet. So I fully suspect to have a lot of deer working this way. I'm really gonna have to protect the north end of this plot. We got her all disc up. I hit this about 4 times with a disc, 1 deeper pass, and then 2 or 3 just to bust up the clods. It's in decent shape. It's not in great shape. The best way to do this 100%, if you're gonna work ground, is to work it and then let it rain on it a few times and then dry back out and then disc it again. It will just bust into a million pieces. I don't have that luxury. I was in a hospital. We've had a ton of rain, and now all of a sudden rain coming again tomorrow. I've got to get this done. I've got 40 pounds of black oil sunflower seeds in the hopper, and I'm going to be real careful, just like I was with the urea, to make sure that I get this at least double spread. So I'm just going to open it a very small amount to begin with and start driving. As I drive, I will see how wide of a swath that I'm throwing, and then I will gauge off that. And then when I get through with the entire field, I'll go back and I'll split my middles. So if I have a track here and a track here, I'll go here and here and here, and that ensures that you don't have a whole bunch of skip places out in the field. 40 pounds for roughly 2 acres. It's a little on the heavy side. I want a little thicker stand to try to outcompete some of the grass and weeds that I know are going to be somewhat of an issue here. We're also going to spray dual magnum right after we get through disking these in. We got them whooped. These seeds are tiny, so depth is going to be extremely important. Looks like I was throwing around a 40-foot swath, 20 foot each way. So I went back and I just split my middles. As you can see, I wanted to make sure that I have sunflowers everywhere. I was too heavy on my first pass. Fortunately, I was able to make it all the way through the field, and then I cut the rate back and split all the middles with a lower rate, and then double spread the ends. So I feel okay about it. Not great. I wished I would have slowed down a little bit. I didn't think the gate was open much, but apparently it was open more than I thought. And it's pretty easy to see them in these tractor tracks, and it's really difficult to see in that rough ground. Since these things are so small, I'm just afraid of anything to get these too deep. All I'm gonna do is just scratch this with the disc. But I have got to get going because it is past 6 o'clock right now, and clouds are starting to roll in from the rain tomorrow, and I have still got to disc this and spray the pre-emerge on it. So, but anyways, let's get to it. Okay, so we're discing this in. As you can see behind me, all I'm trying to do is cover my tracks. So I'm not running deep by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not running fast. I don't want that big hill in the middle that you get when you run real fast. So all I'm trying to do is just barely scratch this, just enough to cover that sunflower seed. These seeds are small. The smaller the seed, the shallower it needs to be planted. That's why things such as like brassicas, clover, alfalfas, things like that, we plant really shallow, a half to a quarter inch deep. Things like corn, soybeans, bigger seeds, we can plant deeper. These are pretty small for sunflowers. Trying to get these somewhere between a half and 3/4 inch deep. That's what I'm shooting for. You can see back there that I'm not moving a ton of soil. Okay, so the plot has been planted We have done all this basically in one day, and what we're doing now is we're putting our pre-emerge down. A lot of you've heard me say that the doves like the grass and weed seeds that come up through the sunflowers. And that's true. But what we're trying to do here, what I'm attempting to do here, is to get these sunflowers up and get them emerged and get them growing to where they can shade some of that stuff down. I don't want it to be a solid carpet of weeds and grass out here with some mixed done sunflowers. I want to have the sunflowers and then just a little bit of grass and some of that weed seed as well. I'm putting down 32 ounces of Roundup per acre, and I'm also putting down 20 ounces of dual magnum. I planted this today. I'm spraying it right now. There is a little bit of grass out here. It's not a lot, but very little. So I went ahead and threw the Roundup in the tank because the dual magnum is not going to do anything on that already emerged grass. It's basically making a carpet to prevent that weed and grass seed from coming up. Pigweeds are an issue here, and dual magnum does pretty good with them. And so that is something that's one reason that I opted to use the dual magnum on this and go ahead and spray this, because I don't want this getting away from me and being solid Roundup resistant pigweed. The last thing that we're going to do, we're going to wait 4 or 5 days whenever this emerges. We got rain in the forecast coming tomorrow, so it's not going to take long for this to get up, I hope. I'm going to protect this plot. I'm really worried what the deer are going to do to these sunflowers. Deer can really be bad news to a sunflower field, so I'm definitely going to protect this. I've already got 4 or 5 scarecrows made up to protect the perimeter. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Y'all smash that like and subscribe button if you hadn't already.